Today is April 27, 1997, and we are in Utah. John Alexander, a retired U.S. Army colonel, has been hired by the National Institute for Discovery Science for a strange job at Skinwalker Ranch. As he and another NIDS scientist walk around, they see a glowing sphere above them. They are scared but try to get closer. Suddenly, the glowing sphere turned into a ring and changed into a wormhole. Moments later, a smelly creature, over 2 meters tall, came out of it and ran quickly into the forest. This scary experience was similar to what the Sherman family faced before. Over the last few years, there have been many reports from this state, including Bigfoot sightings, UFOs, creepy noises from underground, werewolf sightings, and sudden awful smells. Most of these reports come from one specific place, Uintah. What is the truth behind these weird events? The locals say they know. They believe all these strange things happen because of the curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch is a property of about 512 acres located southeast of Ballard in Utah. Many strange and extraterrestrial events have been reported on this land over the years, with most of them still unexplained. This place might be the main cause of all the unusual sightings in the area. Northern local people believe this land is cursed by the Navajo. The Navajo say that this land was once used by skinwalker witches. These witches could change into any creature they wanted. They say these witches roamed this land, hiding during the day and coming out at night to hunt and eat. That's why the Navajo avoid this place. After hearing these dark tales from the Navajo, people started calling it Skinwalker Ranch. When Europeans explored America and heard about these old curses, they didn't believe the locals. This land eventually became home to some wealthy European settlers, including the Myers family. Kenneth and Edith Myers bought this land in 1934. They lived there for about 60 years until 1994. Suddenly, they left Skinwalker Ranch forever, without any warning. The land stayed empty for 7 years until 1994 when the Sherman family decided to buy it from the Myers, thinking it was their dream property. Terry and Gwen Sherman found Skinwalker at a very low price after it had been vacant for 6 years. They bought it right away. As farmers, they thought this land would make them rich. They dreamed of a better life. However, Skinwalker quickly turned into their worst nightmare, affecting them not only financially but also mentally. On their first visit, the Shermans saw that the farm needed a lot of repairs right away, which was normal after 6 years of being empty. But what was strange were the many locks on the doors, windows, closets, and even cabinet doors. Both the front and back doors were secured with huge chains. On the day they bought the land, they noticed strange terms in the contract. One condition was that they needed the previous owner's permission for any digging. These things made Terry rethink buying the land. He was no longer excited but scared. Despite the fears, they moved to Skinwalker, and the curse began on the very first day. While walking around, Terry saw a giant wolf at least 3 times bigger than a normal wolf approaching him. Surprisingly, it didn't seem scary but friendly like a dog. Suddenly, the wolf attacked one of their cows and tried to drag it away. The Shermans shot at the strange creature, but even after many shots, it didn't seem hurt. They chased it for a couple of kilometers, but the footprints vanished suddenly. In the first 2 years at Skinwalker, the Shermans and other locals reported seeing strange creatures to the police many times. They also reported seeing shiny objects at night to the police and FBI. It was terrifying when they realized that after seeing these strange flying lights, some of their cows disappeared. Some nights they saw very bright lights that lit up the whole land and heard very scary noises, unlike anything they had heard before. Sometimes, items in their house disappeared for days and then reappeared in the same spot. After 2 years, things got even worse. The Shermans saw shadows in their yard. They realized these creatures were watching them from outside the windows, and sometimes they even entered the house and watched them while they slept. But that wasn't all. Forget all that and listen to this. This is what made them share their story with the media. One day, Terry and his dogs were walking around. He saw a very bright blue light between the trees, along with whispers from the ground. He saw a glowing sphere flying low over the grass. It moved toward the trees, and the dogs followed it, with Terry close behind. Terry heard the dogs barking and then some terrifying noises. Scared, he ran back home. In the morning, he found the burned and melted bodies of his dogs on the land. Terry had lost his dogs and all his other animals. He had nothing left to hide. He was scared and broke. So he shared his story with the media. People laughed at him at first, but eventually he caught the attention of the big newspapers. Miles away in Los Angeles, a millionaire businessman Robert Thomas Bigelow was having breakfast and reading the newspaper. He found an article about Skinwalker Ranch. Robert had spent his whole life studying strange phenomena and funding research into UFOs and paranormal topics, including life after death. So Skinwalker Ranch caught his interest. At that time, he was developing his new company, the National Institute for Discovery Science. His dream for NIDS was to find answers to all the unexplained things happening in the United States. He hired brilliant scientists from around the world in many fields. These included Colm Kelleher, a biochemistry scientist, and John Alexander, a retired U.S. Army colonel, as well as experts in agriculture, animal science, psychology, physics, and extraterrestrial phenomena. He provided them with the latest technology and equipment, using his immense wealth, to pursue his childhood dream. Robert set up a meeting and decided to visit Skinwalker to show what NIDS could do. They called the Sherman family and made them an offer to buy their land. The price was so good that the Shermans couldn't refuse. They wanted to get rid of the land anyway, so they accepted the offer right away. NIDS then gave Terry another great offer. He could stay on as the farm manager because they wanted his experience during their research. Terry couldn't refuse this job offer and accepted it as well. NIDS bought many animals for Terry and transformed the farm from a dead place into a beautiful one again. By September 1996, the whole farm was fenced, and NIDS brought in a lot of lab equipment. They started by testing the water and air quality and the local plants to make sure that Terry and the others weren't imagining the strange creatures. The tests came back normal. Since moving to the farm, they had only seen the glowing sphere once, but nothing else happened until the end of 1996. Then everything changed. Many strange things started happening, and they experienced what the Sherman family had gone through before. It was March 9, 1997, and Sherry Sherman came to visit Terry at the farm after almost a year to help him out. While working together, Terry's dogs started barking at the house. They looked and saw a cow running around strangely. They rushed to the cow and found another cow that had been badly killed. The inside of the poor cow's body and one of its ears, which had just been tagged, were gone. They were terrified. There wasn't a drop of blood, no footprints from any animal, nothing. How could this happen so quietly? They hadn't seen or heard anything. When the NIDS veterinarian examined the body, he said it wasn't the work of a wild animal. The cuts were too precise and made with very modern tools. The search team spent hours looking around the farm, but they couldn't find anything. One creepy night in March 1997, all the farm dogs started barking like mad. Terry and the team got ready and drove out in their Jeep. When they got close, they saw something strange, two big glowing yellow eyes in a tree. They got scared and aimed their guns, but the eyes disappeared. They heard something fast moving through the trees like something was running on leaves. They looked around but found nothing. One of them with a night camera shouted, "I can see it, I can see it," and started shooting, but they still couldn't see anything. Later this guy said he saw a weird creature that looked like a huge wolf walking on two legs. The next morning, they found big footprints, each about 40 centimeters long and really deep, like something heavy had stepped there. After that night, the farm animals started acting strange. The guard dogs suddenly got too scared to come out of the house, even when Terry told them to. In April, 4 cows disappeared. A few days later, the team smelled something awful and found the cows' dead bodies in an old trailer near the farm. After checking things out, they found a weird magnetic force around the trailer, but they couldn't figure out why. Those cows were empty inside, with no organs at all. But what really sent shivers down their spines was that not even a single scratch on their bodies. Colm Kelleher, in his book Hunt for the Skinwalker, described a really scary moment. He said, in late April, I smelled something awful and felt like someone was watching me. It freaked me out so much that I hurried back to the lab, but I found out that everyone else felt the same creepy vibe. John Alexander, a former colonel in the US Army, had his own scary encounter at Skinwalker. He and another scientist saw something really weird, a glowing ball in the sky that turned into a ring and then a wormhole portal. Out of that portal came a huge black creature, over 2 meters tall, running into the forest super fast. And when that creature came out of the portal, the air stank something fierce. The reports from the NIDS staff match up with what the Sherman family saw before them: UFOs, glowing orbs in the sky, strange shadows, and creatures that seemed like werewolves. They heard strange noises from the ground, had their electronic stuff stop working, and found dead animals with no explanation. What's really going on at Skinwalker Ranch? It's a mystery that's puzzled many. Are the strange happenings there caused by aliens, just tricks of the mind, or maybe even a scheme by the Sherman family to boost their property value? Could there be secret experiments happening with the farm animals, or is the military involved in preparing for possible alien attacks? It's hard to say for sure. The truth is hidden, known only to those who've experienced it or have access to secret information. Each idea has its own appeal, making us wonder about what we don't know. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments.